Check, check. Oh, okay.
Oh,
1, 2. There we go. There we go. That's better. This whole Hogan is back there.
Thanks, Renee. Renee put us on. Oh, sorry, there was a little technical difficulties. We had no microphone sound, so all our amazing jokes you missed.
All the amazing fun.
All your own faults. So, here we go.
Set that again. So we have what? We have our guest?
Yep.
Okay. Yes.
Another stellar guest.
Go ahead. Intro.
Someone who's not.
That's me. That's me.
Someone who's usually on the other side of the interview.
On the other side, yeah.
Now gets to have somebody come up to him and see if they can like this. Maybe get a little closer and find out what's going on with him. That was my best impersonation. I can't do it better than that.
That was the best one?
Best one I could do.
You're not going to try and get a hug?
No.
Try and get a hug.
David wants
Try and get a hug. Try and get a hug.
David wants
Try and get a
to
hug. Try and get a hug from him.
I'm not hugging you guys.
Try to get a hug from him.
I don't want a hug from you. Let's bring out
Is this what he's all about? Just hugs?
Bro,
Feel his faces?
he's all about the love, bro.
Let's bring out our guest, the one and only Cabbie.
That's
Real
me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. What's up, fellas? Thank you very much.
What's going on?
I'm wonderful, I'm wonderful. Did we reset the timer?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, we're on the way to the next.
To the next shot.
Right.
Look at you all prepared.
Yeah. I was born for this moment. I'm excited. How are you, sir? Wait, Morgan, do you mean Morgan Riley or a friend named Morgan?
A friend named Morgan.
A dude or a girl?
The dude.
Dude, okay.
Yeah.
Morgan Riley's at that parade.
Where is house?
Oh, that's MO.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yo, that takes guts to like just roll up to a party where you know nobody and you're just dropping a girl outside.
Yeah.
And then you go because you don't know none of the dynamics. You don't know who
Nothing.
she came with,
Yeah.
who might feel some type of way. Like I respect the move. I mean, depending on the neighborhood, you feel a little bit more emboldened to make that move.
This gentleman, when he gets a few shots in him, he's emboldened.
Yeah.
In this neighborhood,
Cabbie Presents.
yeah, okay. Well, glad that you're still with us.
So how have you been, man?
Wonderful. So you guys talking about the parade? You were in Nathanville Square.
Out of the filter.
And where were you for the parade?
I was.
Did you watch on TV? Or were you?
No,
were you
we were
there?
at Queen and University.
Yeah.
Well, how much later is later? Like, have the buses passed where you guys were yet?
No, we got there when they were
before,
pulling up right there.
just before they were pulling
Queen University. So that was around like 2:30-ish.
Yes.
I was on the bus. I got on the bus for there were 5 buses, and we got on at the OVO Performance Center. So the players arrived there at 9, and then the bus procession was going to start at 10. So we got on bus 4 at around 9:40. The buses started moving at 9:50. So, at the CME grounds, just to get to the Princess Elizabeth Gate, it's maybe, 500 meters.
Yeah.
That took an hour. Like, there were so many people, just like BMO Field, just like a throng of people.
Yeah.
Like, waiting for the parade. The parade started once you went underneath the arch, and then, along Lakeshore, and then you continue your way east, and then we made a left up University. But it was the TSN broadcast was supposed to start at 10 and then end at 12:30.
Yeah.
I don't even think we made a left onto University by 12. It was moving so slowly because it felt like 2 million people.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to be on the bus, so I could just see endless people to my left, endless people to my right, endless people behind me and in front. And the players were just like stymied. They just had never experienced anything like that before. And I vaguely remember when the Toronto Blue Jays won back-to-back titles in 92 and 93. I remember seeing photos in the Toronto Star, and I vaguely remember seeing any footage on TV. Maybe I did on the news or that night, but I was probably just playing.
But back then, there was like no drones to really
Yeah.
fly.
Fair, yeah. The aerials were like your helicopter, your
Right.
traffic helicopters.
Yeah.
But now you could just there's like time lapses now. You can see this like the crowds filling in like University, which is open in the morning.
It's crazy. Like it's all you see is like it's like ants.
Ants, yeah, the red ants.
And all they just covered the street.
Yeah.
And University is huge.
Yeah.
And so that whole one side was gone.
University
That
is
one
huge.
where the
We were
parade was
talking-
going down.
We were talking to a friend of ours about how they were prepared City-wide.
Yeah,
They
well,
just weren't-
they tried to plan, or sorry, they planned it in like 3 days.
Yeah.
but they weren't prepared for that many people.
No. It's really emblematic of the growth of basketball and just how much like this team represents what Canada likes to project itself as
Yeah.
a diverse nation, and it is diverse, but that real multiculturalism exists here in Toronto. And you guys
Yeah.
toured all over the country, so you see it. Like outside of the GTA, there's a little sprinkling of ethnicities around, but during that parade, and I know the guys, it affected them. I was just seeing so many different faces and so many different age groups and classes at the parade, and one part that was kind of which was very succinct to a certain type of people being at this parade is like when Rob Ford was announced at Nathan Phillips Square.
Yeah.
Or sorry, excuse me, Rob Ford is
Yeah,
God bless the dead. But Doug Ford and everybody resoundingly booed him.
Yeah.
Those were Doug Ford's people,
No.
like the white collar, CEOs and executives. No, these were everybody else. These are like the main fabric of Toronto.
Yeah.
People that waited for hours, got there like 8 or the night before
Yeah.
to
And
cheer
not
on
even
this team.
8. They 6 o'clock. One of our boys was down there. He took a picture. 6 o'clock, and it was
AM.
6 a.m. It was packed. And he goes, "Y'all trying to be down here for 9, right? Good luck."
Right.
Like, by 9 o'clock, that square was wrapped. You just know where.
And I was so in comparison in 2017 TFC won its the MLS Cup, and it was a cool parade. I mean, it went from Scotiabank Arena to Nathan Phillips Square, and for a soccer team, they had a pretty good turnout. Granted, it was like December, so it was really cold. But they had probably 100,000, maybe 80,000, 100,000 people, like anywhere from like 5 to 10 deep on each side of the buses. But the buses can move consistently.
Right.
This thing with the Raptors,
Nothing.
5 buses, 30 cars. It was
When
moving
people
at
are jumping in, I heard people were jumping in front of the bus just to take like, selfies with the bus type thing.
that was hard to do. So every bus had a line of police officers on bicycles as a measure of separating the masses from the buses. And in lieu of barricades, everybody had bicycles. So it was hard to actually penetrate that line of
And that's
protection.
crazy because I think if they had even a few key barricades along the route, it would have moved a bit smoother.
Oh, probably for sure. Yeah. I agree.
Because and in lieu of like the police is cool, right? To separate because the way the crowd came in is crazy. But they also didn't have enough police ahead of the parade.
Yeah, to
To
clear
put-
people
to clear
out.
them
Yeah,
out of the way.
you're right. That's why we were stopped at times for like 20, 30 minutes. Sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off there.
That's right. Because I'm looking at it. I'm also looking at the screen. I'm like, no, they ain't coming anywhere. Call my son's mom because she's watching it live. I'm like, where are they? She's like, bro, they're having me hit York yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
I was on the bus with
No.
OG Anunoby, Patrick McCaw, and Pascal Siakam, who was living his best life.
Yeah.
And so they're, yeah, right? I told that dude after they beat the Bucks, they were celebrating Norm Powell's birthday at a spot in town. And I said to Pascal, I was like, yo, you're about to drop 30 points in a finals game. And game 1 dropped 30 points.
Yeah.
14 for 17 was lights out. People were like, what?
Yeah.
It was the dude couldn't miss.
Yeah.
And I was so excited for him. But so there were like I think 12 big like industrial sized cases of beer, and then they had like boxes of champagne, 8 to 10 to 12 boxes of champagne. So people would just spray like I don't think whoever organized it thought they were gonna go through all that alcohol because they didn't think the parade was gonna be 5.5 hours. We left at 10. We got to Nathan Phillips Square at 3:30.
Yeah.
And it was a 5-kilometer route, and it took forever. But people were so hyped, and I'm sure the people watching were drinking. Like nobody did. Like it felt like the entire province had descended on Toronto to take this in.
Nobody, like Kyle said in his Instagram, nobody went to work today.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, if you were at work, you were just watching.
Imagine if they had it
on the stream.
Imagine if they had it on Sunday, like when Mary Toria initially announced it.
Right.
It's supposed to be on Sunday.
Father's Day, right?
Yeah. Imagine if it happened on Sunday.
It'd have been crazier.
The whole city, all the GTA would have been out there.
Man, even after game 5, when Draymond Green gets his finger on the ball as Kyle's shooting that corner, Fred VanVleet finds him in the corner.
Yeah.
Last second, hey! To the Raptors.
Hold on.
Oh, the wheel of Sportscentre.
Spin
And
again.
again.
Have a shot.
It's that interactive element that people really like to tune in for.
The guy see breathing.
He's regretting buying this.
He's regretting buying this. Exactly.
Cheers.
To the Raptors.
To the Raptors.
Cheers. And Jedi Ujiri.
Here we go.
Okay, yeah.
Double tap that, please.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, Jedi Ujiri. So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Besides gone in 2 years, where's he going now?
Oh, jeez. I hate making predictions, so I won't make them because I'm always wrong. But if he were to leave now, this would be the best time because he delivered when nobody thought that Toronto would play. He said it to be like people have to start being proud of the city now. Like this is a destination. He said in a press conference around the time that they traded for Kawhi.
Yeah.
And he's been putting this energy out there in the ether, and finally, because he's so brilliant, just made great moves. You know, a move that we mentioned. No, did we mention North Powell? But just trading Greatest Vasquez, sending him to Milwaukee for a pick, which ended up being Norm Powell.
Yeah.
Like things like that. And obviously, we fleeced. Not we, but the Messiah's like fleeced every team that he's traded with. The Raptors have won every trade, and then having the vision or having the commitment, like, okay, Dwayne Casey, 59 wins, just won Coach of the Year, but I've gone as far. I just know I've gone as far as this group can take me, as presently constituted. And you know, DeMar was a huge piece of the Raptors building the Raptors. Huge piece of what the Raptors became, so that they were one piece away. Like built the skyscraper to that level, and then we needed that penthouse.
Yeah.
And Kawhi Leonard was the penthouse.
Yeah, and we can't discount what DeMar did.
No, previously, no. His jersey will be retired as well.
Yeah, I've said that, you know, after losing the second year in a row to Cleveland, like we just needed one more piece along with that team. If we could keep DeMar and add another piece, right, this team's unstoppable. But the fact that he was able to replace one of the key pieces with this guy,
someone who
that nobody knew how he was going to perform.
Yeah. Or if he was going to perform.
You
know, we didn't know if
right.
He was
like
my
suspicions was, okay, if Kawhi's playing, Kyle might be too butthurt to play and might try to sabotage the season. Right, his friends left. Right, so maybe he won't play properly. Right, or maybe Kawhi won't play properly. But the fact that these two, I see another like kind of best friend situation that played that well together. It's crazy.
You know, Kyle had less pressure on him to perform because Kawhi on the court was such an alpha. And it wasn't just like throw to Kawhi in that high post, that elbow where DeMar really liked to operate. He loved that mid-range game. He's a big fan of Kobe, and Kobe had so much success with the mid-range. Kawhi could get the ball anywhere. And he was very efficient with his moves. From times he would dribble at the arc or whatever, or behind the arc. But he wasn't wasting a lot of movement. Also, his body was hurting. He was battling injury, so he probably couldn't afford to expend additional energy, even though he was carrying the offensive load for the other 11 guys, but other 7 guys who played consistent minutes throughout the playoffs. And then a big credit to Marc Gasol as well. You trade a young asset in JV, DeLon Wright, CJ Miles, and you get Marc Gasol, who was the first round so crucial in neutralizing Nikola Vucevic, played some pretty good minutes against Philadelphia. But you have Kawhi was guarding Joel Embiid. We sent him crying. Yeah. Shouldn't say we. Kawhi did. But we literally sent him crying.
Literally sent him crying.
Then with Thor's hammer, with his left, he murdered the Greek god, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Also guarded Giannis Antetokounmpo. So he's guarding 2 unicorns. Those 2 guys, if they were playing in the mid-'90s, there's nobody at the time. Hakeem, Patrick Ewing, none of those guys could stop these 2 dudes. Their footwork and their perimeter game was so strong. And then you have the dynasty. I mean, Kawhi's a dynasty killer. Miami Heat in 2014, and then now the Golden State Warriors in 2019. That dude is unbelievable. Killers. And we know nothing about him. He's a mystery. He doesn't talk.
What we do know is he's a fun guy.
But he actually has displayed that.
Yeah. When he
just
feels
like
like
that.
it,
When he feels
he'll
like
give you
Yeah.
charisma. Like at the speech at the end where it's ha, ha.
Right.
It's like nobody was
We
expecting.
unfairly crushed. We murdered him unfairly. Like
I
the
don't-
introductory press conference.
First of all, there's nothing unfair about
No.
that. That laugh is hilarious.
That is.
And
It will always
we
be
crushed
funny.
him.
It will
And
always be
crushed
funny.
the best thing about that laugh is when they edited it for the NBA
On NBC,
on NBC.
theme song. Yeah, that was brilliant.
That was
That was
freaking
brilliant.
hilarious.
It's been used so many times in memes and whatnot.
I know, but why are we killing the guy? That you
Because-
can't help how you laugh.
But it's
Yeah.
funny. If it wasn't
Yeah, but
naturally
it's
funny,
still funny
if it
laugh.
wasn't naturally funny, then
But we don't.
Okay.
But we don't know if he's self-conscious about
But
the
it's not.
laugh,
It's true. It's true.
or
It's
because we
true.
don't. I
True.
think it was the first
It's
time I
possible.
heard it.
It's possible. Yeah.
And that's why he's like he just always like his sound bites are very short,
Yeah.
or he starts to, like I said, I'm just playing basketball. He's almost kind of like a robot.
Yeah.
I never got the privilege to interview Kawhi, but I would have searched his body for the USB key where he recharges
Right.
when he lays down on a bed of batteries from straight from Elon Musk.
Have you even seen the? I'm sure you've seen it. The meme where his face turns and he has that Joker smile. It's like
Yeah, the super slow mo. Yeah.
even that
Yeah.
is creepy as fuck. That's
But
like
he didn't. But it's slowed down super slow mo, and he probably just saw something that made him smile, and then
probably saw the girl in the crowd.
Maybe.
Like there's my little girl.
It's so simple.
There's my daughter. Look at that.
now you
Right.
you work in media.
yes.
How do you feel about the American media giving all these excuses to Golden State, saying, "Oh, everybody's injured. That's why."
Did they?
Yeah. It's like
I heard a lot of their.
it's a lot of
talking about that it's based off the injuries. Why Toronto won. You hear about the parade?
There wasn't actually.
they're pretty much saying we didn't win, Golden State lost.
There's an asterisk on the win.
Yeah,
Well, there's an asterisk on Golden State's first win in 2015 because
Right.
Kelly Olynyk pulled out Kevin Love's, separated his shoulder in the second round, and then Kyrie Irving not blew out his knee, but got injured, his ankle or something. So he was unavailable after game one. So it was LeBron, Matthew Dellavedova, friggin' Timothy Mozgov. That's why LeBron was averaging 42, almost a triple double with 35 or 40 points, and Iguodala gets NBA Finals MVP by averaging 15 or 16. But the guy he was guarding still dropped 40 points a game. How are you getting the freaking MVP of that series? So if there's an asterisk on the Toronto Raptors, which I disagree, 2019 NBA Finals championship, then there's an asterisk
That's what I told.
on the 2015
That's
title
what I
and
told.
an asterisk on the 2016
That's what I told.
title as
I
well.
told a bunch of guys.
Cleveland.
Yeah, I told a bunch of guys who were saying this on Instagram. I'm like, listen, injuries have brought us to this point. Because if Kawhi wasn't injured in 2015 from them stepping on him in Golden State, who reacted
ZZA,
extremely,
yeah.
reacted extremely horrible
Yeah, they
to
cheered
his
too.
injury.
They
To
cheered.
his injury,
great
right?
player.
They would not have had their first championship. Golden State would have been dismantled that year because Golden State would have lost 2 years in a row to San Antonio in the Western Finals, and they would have had to figure out how to get around Kawhi Leonard. And they would have dismantled that team. There would have been no Golden State.
Maybe, yeah. And I was Fred Van Vliet said yesterday at this which one's one? This one?
Yeah.
Said at an event yesterday at Danny Green's podcast. There was a live podcast here. He said, "What are we supposed to do? Feel bad for Golden State and have them win because injuries are part of
It's part of the game.
any game, any
And
competition."
everybody's banged up at the end of the year.
Right. I mean, Kawhi, he mentioned in an interview with Rachel Nichols, he goes, "My knee was injured," and he let one slip because he doesn't traditionally say anything about his body. He says, "If I'm good enough to play, if I'm healthy enough to play, I'm going to play."
Yeah.
But we saw him limping up both legs
Yeah.
one time. He came down on a dunk. We're like, "Oh!" And then Kyle Lowry against
thumb.
Philadelphia, he popped his thumb back in. Danny Green was wearing thumb tape. Fred Van Vliet was wearing thumb tape. Ibaka gets a cut in the forehead.
Yep.
Fred gets an elbow to the face.
Elbow.
Yeah.
And he said he just got his teeth. He just got his teeth fixed. Shout out to Nas. But but every and I'm sure on their side, other than Klay Thompson hyperextending his hamstring, and then
Iguodala.
obviously, Iguodala's his knees are bad, his back is bad.
Yeah.
Everybody was bad. Not to the extent where guys had season-ending or year-long injuries like Kevin Durant and now Klay Thompson. I don't look. It's unfortunate people want to position it oh, there's an asterisk on that championship, but man, Cleveland. Hey!
It sounded a little rushed. That wasn't sound.
No.
Is it? Was it?
Was it?
Yeah,
Uh,
so it's the shot too.
To Masai Ujiri.
Let's
The
see.
architect, the general, the have a shot.
Have a shot.
He doesn't want to.
Damn. I forgot what show he's on.
It's like, why do I agree to this?
Be careful what you ask for.
Why do I do this? To the side.
To
To
my
the
side.
side.
Cheers.
Here we go.
Why the double tap?
Show professional. Only true professionals double tap again.
So did you end up making it to the parade or no? Because you were saying you were on the phone.
I was at the square, and then when I found out where they were,
Wait.
and I was looking at the time.
Nathan Phillips Square
Yeah,
or
I was at
restaurant?
the square, and when I'm looking at the time, I'm like, I got a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old. My son's turning 14. They're all with
All
me.
there, right
Bro, you hate condoms.
No.
He still hates condoms.
I do, but I only have one. I only have one child.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, so my brother's daughters, 5 and 6, and then my son's sister, 8, my son,
They were all with you?
all with me.
Oh, okay. So
I'm like-
that's harder to maneuver.
I'm like,
Plus, there's so many people that would be
Yeah.
like so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, can we go? Because
yeah.
they can't see anything. They're just
Yeah.
looking up into bodies.
So we're lifting them up, and it's like there's nothing happening.
Nothing to look
They're
at.
getting frustrated.
There should have been like performers in some way.
They had dancers and whatever, like the Raptor.
Were there like a
Were they
running
with the
at that
cars? In
Huh?
between the cars?
No. So at the square.
Oh, and
At the
in the
square,
square.
yeah.
They had the Raptors.
Because they were waiting so
dancing
long.
and doing
There
whatever.
wasn't. I don't think was there a lot of entertainment.
After like they pretty much had it scheduled till 12:30 when they were supposed to arrive.
Right.
So they're dancing, they're doing their things, out whatever, and then at 12:30, this one's silent.
See, they don't plan the event like your auntie does. Your auntie says, this is when it starts. But you know it's not starting for another 2 3 hours.
Yes.
Bro,
They didn't plan it like that.
that's a huge delay though. Like you can't anticipate that.
No,
Like,
I can't.
there's no anticipating that, right? And so it's like how many times are they gonna go around and do the same routine over and over again?
Yeah.
If they did have people like Cardinal or somebody on stage, they would have been able to kind of
So keep
circumvent
hype
that.
up the crowd.
Right.
Actually, let's get into your background.
Sure.
How did you get into it?
That's what I want.
I was a student at Ryerson. I was taking radio and TV, and then in my second year, a guy at school was like, "Hey, they're looking for interns at the Score television network, which then, or at the time it's called Headline Sports, and then became the Score in like 2001 or 2002. So they just needed bodies, and myself and my friend Adnan Verk, who was at ESPN for 9 years, he's now at DAZN, hosting a baseball show and doing boxing. We gave him our resumes, and then a week later we had a meeting with this guy named John Melville. He's like, "Yeah, come be interns. Like, we love people who want to work for free."
Yeah.
So that was our entry point into television, and then we were just writing scripts for the host. So when a host does a nightly highlight show,
Okay.
we're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, the Detroit Tigers versus the Toronto Blue Jays." In the third inning, at the time I was there, was Carlos Delgado hits a 3-run home run to right field, his 7th. 4-1 Blue Jays in the third. So we write that down, and then the announcer could add their own flavor. Like Tim
Right.
McAuliffe, Sid Sixero, they always had nicknames, and Tim would like to throw patois in his highlights, and he was amazing. Or he is
Right.
amazing. They're still together. They work at Sportscentre
So
now.
it's
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. And then 3 years into it, I felt more confident, and I pitched an idea with the help of a couple of hosts to go be a man on the streets. Just
Right.
go out there and just ask sports questions. And at the time, I believe Rick Mercer on CBC was doing a segment called Talking to Americans, where he would go to border towns along the Canada-American
Yeah.
border, and then he would just ask Americans trivia about Canada. And it would be hilarious for us because nobody knows
Nobody
anything
knows
about Canada.
shit. Yeah.
So that's where the joke would come in. And then on BET, there was a guy named Hits from the Streets.
Yes.
So Al Shearer, Al was his name, he would go around to like college campuses,
Yes,
and he would
yeah.
go around the streets of New York, and he would interview people. And sometimes he would make fun of people, and I didn't want to make fun. I prefer to make fun of myself because I'm an easier target than some stranger who's giving me 2 or 3 minutes of their time,
Right,
and I don't want
right.
to just start carving up the person. So
Yeah.
I would just go out, ask really dumb sports questions, and that's kind of how it started.
Nice.
That was in the summer of 2001, and I would go to college. I would Humber College. I'd go to York. I'd go to U of T because there were kids literally my own age, and there were a lot of kids, so I could find people to interview. And the crappy thing was like sometimes I would be on like the Danforth, or I'd be Bloor West, or High Park, and then somebody like, no thank you. So I'm getting rejected a lot. You know, there's a big doughy-faced, chubby dude approaching, hey, can I ask you a few sports questions? People like, I don't know, it's a little bit unnerving when some chubby bastard comes up to you, trying to, with a little, with a guy with a camera or whatever. So that I've definitely gotten used to a lot of rejection, is what I'm saying.
Now we do something like that. We actually did a couple interviews
At the parade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
the Raptors parade.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So we do stuff like that.
How were the responses?
It was alright.
Have you edited it? Have you guys posted it?
Not yet.
Oh,
Not
okay.
yet, but we've done other events that have gone a little bit better.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips as far as approaching people?
I usually go approach characters that are a little more eccentric or a little more colorful, because you would hope that whatever they're wearing matches their personality.
Right.
And then I just approach them like, hey guys, my name's Cabbie. I do a little sports show. Can I ask you a few questions for my sports show or for my, my podcast or whatever? And then people are like, oh, no thanks. Or what are you going to ask me? I'm like, well, I'm going to start with, something like, how many jerseys do you own? Or if you're going to buy a Raptors jersey tomorrow, which one would you buy? Or which one would you buy for your mom and for your dad?
Yeah.
As a gift, and just go from there. But that's kind of that's how but I wouldn't go right away with the camera, because that might be. But you know what? I started in 01, so people weren't. Yeah, it was a big camera, and people just weren't used to being recorded all the time. Now everybody records. They make their own content.
Yeah.
Whether they publish it or not, but so people are just used to cameras all the time. So it might be easier, or it might be more difficult. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't done it in a while, but. Good luck if you do venture out and do another one. Maybe in the first game of the season.
We did
Caravana.
Caravana was hilarious.
See, with us, our people love being on camera.
Yeah, that too.
So then you're just gonna have random people jump in and like hold on. You might like, no, Bridget, like, hold on, grab the mic, right? Like, just will you relax?
It's true.
Like we gotta hit
Comic-Con type one.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
A lot of colorful characters.
They're all in their costumes, so they're already jumping to characters or whoever they are. So
amazing.
It was And Wu-Tang, when the Wu-Tang show was down at Rebel, we went out there, talked to
How many of them? I've only seen episode 1 of Mike's and Men. Have you guys seen that?
I haven't seen it.
It's on either Showtime or HBO, but it's on demand.
Oh yeah.
It goes deeper than I thought it was gonna go. Yeah, and I think it's 4 episodes. I need to finish that one.
I gotta start watching that. We had Maestro tell us a few stories.
Oh, cool.
About his interaction with Wu-Tang. Like when he jumped in a van and
they were doing a promo
tour. As soon as CheZZa jumped in, whoever was driving got out, because CheZZa runs that ship, and he was driving that always. And he remembers like when they're playing the interludes.
You know that
car.
I fucking
I saw that.
They did it in the car. And that's where it started, and then it translated to the thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said they had the box of t-shirts for the first time. Like the actual
First time they
t-shirts.
saw the
Oh, wow.
Like they opened the box. Like he was there for that.
Oh wow, that's cool.
He told some really dope stories.
See, he must have popped with Search Without the Reds right around the time that 36 Chambers was about to come out. Because Search Without the Reds, that was when I think he was on the track with, I want to say, was it AZ? There was someone from New York co-signed him where he appeared on a track together. Right. And it wasn't, Backbone Slide or Drop the Needle. It was after that.
Because we even believed that. I think that was the time that it was like he was signed to a New York label and he moved to New York. Those are the rumors.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, why is he in Canada?
Right.
But that's where you have to go to get co-signed.
We know.
Yeah, to this day.
Now, I have a question.
Yes, please.
I did a bit of research.
Okay.
And
King Rando.
I have my sources. I was told to ask about News Pit 2.
Oh, wow. Okay, I don't know who you know, but obviously you know someone who I worked with who was at the score.
I got my sources, man.
News Pit.
Okay, so News Pit 2 was a very small part of the office where there were like 16 producers and on-air guys. It was almost like a frat house in a way. It wasn't much bigger than this room, and there were like 12 desks, couple guys had to share a desk. But it was the most fun, and everybody would get there around 4 or 5 o'clock because the highlight shows were at night, and the games happened at night. And then when I came on the Score Tonight with Tim and Sid, usually like Fridays, I would air an episode of Cabbie in the Street, but I would be editing all week.
Yeah.
But I was editing at night. So from like 5 to 7, we would just be telling stories. And every time my man Dina and I came back from the road, we're like, all right, let's tell our road. So we went to St. John's, Newfoundland, or we went to Vancouver, or we went to Whistler, or we went to Winnipeg, and we'd have some silly stories. But everybody was, and then they'd have their own. But it was. We were such an underdog, and Tim and I speak often. Tim Calvin and I speak often about how we won't ever have that work environment again. First of all, everyone was between like 20 and 30, so we're all young. We're all in like everybody's pool.
Right.
We were huge like stats nerds, but we were just our network didn't have the budgets that like TSN had. Because TSN was established in 1984, and the Score opened its doors in 1997. And then those sports that had CTV and Rogers money, and we were just a small shop, so we could try a lot of different things. Like I was out there with t-shirts, baseball caps, t-shirts and baseball caps, doing interviews and such. And I didn't look like any other reporter, certainly covering hockey. Once I walked in that room, unless P.K. Subban or Wayne Simmons or Jerome McGinley or Kevin Weeks or Mike Greer were in that room, I was often the only person that looked like me in that room.
Wow.
What do we got here, my G?
Double shot.
This game's rigged.
It is. So News Pit 2 was the most fun. Like we would, I don't know if I have a couple of like old videos on like old hard drives. I just randomly bring a camera to work, just like one of those, like a point and click, like a Canon, whatever. And the video quality would be like 240 by 300, like the smallest video files. But it was I don't know who you know, but like News Pit 2 was a lot. And whoever is from, that probably had a desk in News Pit 2 and would think back on that time as fondly as I'm thinking back on that time. To News Pit 2.
News Pit 2.
News Pit 2.
Cheers, my gents.
Cheers, my brother. Now, here we go. We're talking about this a little bit off here. Cake in the face.
Oh my goodness.
Vaseline in the face. Champagne over the head.
Strangled by Kobe.
Yeah, I've been headlocked at Kobe.
Yeah, right.
I had a snake recently. I was in Orlando with Danny Green.
I think I did see
And that's my biggest fear of snakes. And I had to like conquer it and not just be a punk and punk out. But I actually wanted to have like venomous snakes on us. So even more. So like if a snake bit me in the face, it's a great.
You skydiving before?
Huh?
You skydive?
I've sky dove.
Yeah, so dope.
Twice. Twice.
Just
Exhilarating.
check, because you're like, the venomous, those are ones I want. What?
But just for the bit, if there wasn't a camera recording, I'd be like, no, I don't want to have a freaking king cobra flying out and tell me to and I was like, no, I don't want any of that. But for the bit, if I get bit in the face, it would be a funny bit. I mean, I would have to get hospitalized, but it would be a funny bit. I would do it for the bit. So yeah, I've had like the weirdest things. Like cake and DeMar and Kyle mushed the cake in my face. Mike Tyson,
Mike Tyson one was hilarious. Have you seen it?
The baddest man on earth for a period of time. But I had to convince him for like 5 minutes. Like, I just want to feel what it's like to be a fighter. And why do you guys put Vaseline in his face? So the punches slide off.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I don't know anything about this Vaseline. I'm like, no, I just bought it from Ralph's, like just down the street from the house. And we were in his backyard and finally convinced him. And he put some behind my ears. It's like Mike, because he's bipolar, and I have some friends of mine who interviewed him before. And I actually just was talking to a dude that runs the.
Is the one who got cussed up on breakfast?
No, Nathan, no. I blame him for that.
Nathan, I blame him.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, my dude.
Do you think?
Because I was like, well, this one, I can't jump right in the middle of your story.
I was like, come on. I mean,
no, not that one. I mean,
you don't. More about Vaseline. So, I was just talking to a friend of mine who runs the label Roots of Fight, and he's known Mike for 10 years. And when he goes, he doesn't like. Sometimes Mike will address him as Mr. or whatever, and sometimes like, what's up, brother? And sometimes you're just like, you won't even look at him. So you don't know which Mike Tyson you're gonna get. So fortunately for me, he was pretty chill that day, and he's very introspective. and also a mix of playful.
Yeah.
As he's rubbing Vaseline on my face and my eyes, by my ears. It was. I've had some cool moments, and the champagne shower. Jeez, I can't believe I said that. But like normally, when Norm Powell someone just passed him a bottle of champagne, and that actually burns your eyes. And I was like, oh, no. I'm like, Normie, I didn't deserve this. Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this? And he was like, because of all those annoying interviews. I deserve it, but I didn't in the moment. Didn't realize that.
Well, you're a stats guy. At what point did they start giving guys goggles? What time is this? Because they weren't doing that early.
Right. So the first time I saw it was when the Boston Red Sox won in 2004. They swept the St. Louis Cardinals. Pedro Martinez, Johnny Damon, Big Papi, obviously. Manny Ramirez won MVP of that World Series. Pedro Martinez was the first. And they were like Michael Phelps, like Speedo swimming goggles.
Yeah.
So 4 years later, when I started covering the Stanley Cup Final, I went into the Detroit Red Wings locker room with a poncho, and like I went with swimming. Like I even had a snorkel, and then one of the players put like champagne down the snorkel. So I'm like, I'm gonna go big with it. So then after that, then they went with like the skiing goggles.
So you're gonna say that you're the inspiration?
No, Pedro Martinez. The Hall of Famer in 2004 had the swimming goggles.
No, but he had the swimming goggles. But if you didn't, do you think if you didn't go in all decked out?
No, they probably would have eventually gotten to bigger goggles. But I maybe somebody. I mean, this is 2008, so I mean, YouTube existed, so maybe something got shown on YouTube or posted on YouTube back then. Like, who's this reporter with a yellow poncho, even like peacocking even more than I normally do? And then the next year I wore a red one, and Malkin sprayed me in the dressing room with champagne. And after that year, like reporters cannot go in the dressing room anymore after the Stanley Cup trophies awarded.
So you're just setting all types of.
No, I'm just getting trouble. I was getting trouble. And in 2010, one of the players who I became close with, he's like, "Cabbie, come in the room." So one of the NHL guys was like, "All right, well, you're going in with the players." So then I went in with. You guys, you remember flip cams?
Yeah.
Before like the iPhone just murdered that whole business.
Yeah.
I went in with like a flip cam, which were a great little piece of technology, only $200 and USB right into your laptop. But I went in with a flip cam, and I had guys shave my beard in the
Did you have a beard?
I had, yeah, and my face was even fatter back then. I was just I just looked like a Barba Papa. That's probably too early for you. Okay, I just looked like you know, Red H. Jackson just looks bloated.
Yeah.
He's got a round, like rounder than that. Yeah, that's what I had.
Wow. So did you, when you took that yellow poncho and those goggles, did you channel your bad boy? Was that your bad boy image?
Like I was friggin' in a I should have, but no. I'm just so happy that I wasn't getting kicked out, and then I could eventually make my way to the Stanley Cup and drink for it.
Yeah.
And a privilege that I did not earn, but I participated many times. And if you guys ever have the chance to drink from the Stanley Cup, always wipe the rim with your shirt.
Yeah.
Right? Because 100 dudes put their lips on that cup before it gets to you.
Yeah,
sure.
That's happened to you? So yeah. The word of advice for the viewers of the podcast, and then you guys, if you guys ever get close to the Stanley Cup, enjoy a drink out of it.
Who's your favorite interview?
I have when I get asked this question, I try to break it up into sports. So baseball was it's either Jose Bautista or David Ortiz. David Ortiz is very generous with his laughter, and Jose Bautista became a really close friend. Once I wrote a sketch where he was eating a hot dog outside of the Skydome at like 5:30. The game's at 7:05. My guy is out there in his full baseball uniform, walking around the Skydome eating a freaking hot dog. People are like, that can't be Jose Bautista. We're here to see him, bat third and run to the field. And then in hockey, hockey's tough because like Mike Richards is a very close friend of mine, and Jared Stoll as well. And those guys, I remember I did an interview at Jared Stoll's house during the NHL, like the Stanley Cup Finals, with like 7 dudes in his backyard. He's got a beautiful house. Like during the finals, like off the books. I mean, I recorded it was on TSN, but they generally, the PR guys are like, no, you can't. Like once it's too serious now for your funny games. But we went to this guy's house in the backyard, and then this guy named Ryan Getzlaff, who I've interviewed probably 10 times. Like been to his house, had food there, and like he's one of the dudes I could literally put my face against his face, and then like I could just curve my eyeball to look at his eyeball where my face is.
Where did that style come from? The up close.
You know what? I'm not sure because I've always been so abrasive as a person and annoying. And I just
It's a great quality to know about yourself.
yeah, I'm very self-aware. And in high school, I would just rip off Martin Lawrence and Will Smith jokes. And Martin on his TV show was so fearless, and he did like 20 characters.
Yeah.
And Martin and Will even attribute some of his comedy to Martin.
Yeah.
Seeing what Martin was doing, so Will's like, I can be bigger in some of my performance aspects. And then when I just was on camera, I don't know where I would be like, I want people to feel what I'm saying, so I would like have the mic here, but I would be touching. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. It's just an extension of myself, amplified a little bit. But I wanted when I would touch an athlete, it was a mechanism of disarming them. To say that I put my arm around them and be like, yo, we're the same. Like we're just two guys talking. There's a mic camera here, but we're just two dudes talking. And that's where it kind of started. And then
How long did it convince Kobe to give the hug? How long
Kobe, like, I may only get to hug Kobe, like, well after the, like, saying bye, like, all right, man, good to see you. But, like, when I always call him Bean, like, Bean! And he'll always like, what's up, Capster? And then his joke is, oh, they left you over the border. I'm like, yes. And while he played, I'm like, your president gave me a pardon, because it was Obama. I was like, your president gave me a pardon, I'm alive in the country. But it took, like, a solid year for Kobe to trust me. Because I would just, hey! Because it would, I'm sorry that party foul too. I'm sorry I'm besmirching this set. And
all good, man.
And, unfortunately, I did not Uber here, so.
No, it's all about being responsible.
It's all about being responsible drinking, man.
You don't have to drink to have fun.
True. Oh yeah, what do we got here, my friend? Yeah, you're gonna double or nothing.
Misfortune.
Have a shot.
I was shy. Man, you did not miss a turn this time.
You have this many in a row.
Since we got the game, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't missed a turn. Like this is the first time.
And we're even skipping on the doubles, thank goodness. Cheers, thanks for coming, man.
Is this to your presidential party?
Yes, to the presidential party.
Party.
Cheers, fellas. So yeah, it took Kobe a little while to get used to my style and then to be like, oh, okay, I know he's just having fun. He's not asking me about a controversy or an injury or some beef with Shaq.
Right.
Just like, oh, I was having fun. So I'm very fortunate that I popped up on his radar at that time. It was 2005 was the first time I met him, December 2005. So the season before he'd gone through his whole trial in Colorado.
Yeah.
And people had like, some of his corporate partners had, ended their business. Ended their business with them. And only Nike stayed on with Kobe. Yeah. And there I am, this doughy reporter, like, can I stay at your house? What's your phone number? What's your address? All these bizarre questions. And the PR director at the time, or she still is, her name's Allison Bogley. She asked Jim LeBombard, who was the Raptors PR guy for like 25 years. She's like, who is this reporter bugging my player? Right. And he's like, oh, he's harmless. So he co-signed for me. Right. Sort of behind the scenes, and that's how I was able to continue bugging Kobe. People here got to see another side of him because they just saw the encore product. He was a stone cold killer. Right. And then, they heard Kobe laugh, and they saw Kobe kind of like picking on me. But I was just
Kawhi. So in the sense back then, in the sense that he wasn't really expressive. Right. Like even when he was expressive, it seemed a little contrived. Right. He was always serious. Like,
oh yeah.
It seemed like a product. We didn't really get to see Kobe till after he went through everything.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
So is Kobe's dropping 81 points on this your fault?
No, it's Sam Mitchell's. Yeah. Throw a double team at the guy, will you?
Do something. It's true though.
Send Mo P and Kobe Bryant on
You know
him.
what's funny? They asked Jalen Rose all the time.
Right. Who took like 40 of those 81.
No, it was less than that.
Was it less?
Yeah, it was less.
So no,
he had the most, but it was less. It was like 20 something. Okay. But they threw a bunch of people at him. What was his name?
Double team. So Kobe probably basketball, and then so I have Jose and David Batista. David Ortiz, Jose Batista in baseball. Ryan Getzlaff, Mike Richards, hockey. Kobe Bryant in basketball, and then football. Aaron Rodgers has been like the most fun I've been able to.
I thought for hockey, PK would be yours.
PK's great. PK's great.
Rexdale.
And I've been to his house in Montreal. I've been to his parents' house for a barbecue. PK's great. I think I've had more moments with those other dudes
Right.
than PK.
It's just a title.
How do you feel about PK going? PK going towards it?
To New Jersey. I traded in New Jersey like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's a new opportunity for him to continue growing, building his brand, and he's closer to New York. I think PK after hockey wants to be like a Michael Strahan type, where just a host of like Mike Strahan's on Good Morning America, like the most mainstream of
He's his own
shows.
show now, no? It's
Yeah,
Mike and something.
I don't think
He's
Mike and
become-
Kelly Ripa.
Yeah.
No, but
Right,
like,
they did have that
after
for-
They don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he replaced Regis in that position.
Yeah. So I mean, this will put him closer to New York. So maybe he's going to play for another 10 years. The kid I don't even think he's 30 yet, or maybe he's about 30. But New Jersey's got a nice young team, and hopefully he can get them back to the Stanley Cup final. They were there in 2012. They lost to the Kings in 6 games. 5 games? 6 games. 6 games, I think.
What's the most bizarre sporting event you've covered?
It wasn't a sporting event, but I ran with the Bulls in Pamplona, Spain, because I wanted, there was a life goal, and I convinced my bosses to send me there.
he likes spending his days.
I know it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bizarre dude. And it is the most adrenaline you'll ever feel in your life if you ever go through it. It's amazing. It's obviously hella dangerous. I think I saw a guy die.
You don't say.
Yeah. The most dangerous thing is the Bulls are dangerous, but it's the other people that you're running with that present the most danger, because people run at different speeds.
Right.
And then it just gets so crowded in the street, and the cobblestones are wet from the night. In the morning, the residents just soak the streets with water to wash all the wine and liquor from the night before partying, because it's a party for 9 days and you're just wearing all white. So the roads or the street is slick when the Bulls are running at you, and then so the other people are like, I for sure elbowed a guy in the face just to get around him, just to get away from a bull.
Right.
And I saw a dude fall, his face hit the concrete, and then a bull stepped on his head and his face hit the concrete again. I saw that because I did it twice. I didn't make it, and the goal is to make it into, there's a bull ring at the end. So the whole course is 800 meters. And so I started in the middle. It's called Dead Man's Elbow. And that's where like some of the bulls, they like fall, they slip because they can't get enough traction to get around the corner and then run to the ring. So I started there both times. First time I didn't make it, but the second time I'm making it. So I made it to the ring, but I saw a guy the first time for sure died. If he went to sleep that day, I don't think he woke up.
Wow.
Poor dude. So that's the most dangerous or the
What's the
strangest.
closest a bull has got to you?
I got hit by a bull when we were in the ring. So when you're in the ring, it's 6 other bulls. So they put like these almost like a pool cue, the cue. They put it on their horns, like on the tips. So when they gore you, they don't pierce your skin. It's just more like a bump.
That's the same with the ones chasing you?
No, the ones chasing you are much bigger.
But do they have that on their horns?
Oh no! Those ones, if you get gored, you're getting pierced. Like you're getting one right in between your ribs, and then you like the
No, thank you.
Yeah. remember in Training Day, Dad's like just breathe it out. He shoots his buddy in the kitchen. Just breathe it out. That's what it would feel like, a friggin' bull's horn in your side. Just breathe it out.
I'll tell you how fast I'm pretty fast. I know how fast I'll be that day.
You would be Usain Bolt.
I'm damn fast, bro, and I would be out. I'm the first one through in that arena. First one there. I'm standing.
But listen, you're waiting. You hear a gunshot, boom. That means the gate's open. You're the second one. That means all the bulls have left the gate. So you know they're coming. And then as you're waiting for us at this dead man's corner, you're just waiting. So people are like kind of bouncing, like to try sort of see over each other to see if the bulls. And then you just feel a crush of people coming. You're like, it's time to sprint.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see them. And you're like, oh! And you're just like. Whenever you're retired in high school, about the way to run, bro, that's how you're running, man.
800 meters? I'm breaking a world record time.
I only ran 400, and I barely made it into the ring before a bull, before the bull started.
Time me. I am breaking a world record that day. Time me.
It was fun, man. Pamplona, Spain, it was amazing.
Do you have anybody asking questions or anything?
Big tune. Is this the remix of Jay-Z?
No, it's the old Hell Yeah, Dead Press.
Yeah, but
they break down.
Jay-Z's on the remix.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. You've never heard the remix?
No.
It's not, and like that's the only
It was
time
wicked.
Hov really messed with Dead Prez, I think.
Yeah, it was the only time.
Okay.
And like was like really political. Like the first time like Jay was
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Show you how Breathless lived.
To see like to break down.
2002.
Yeah, 2002. Because I was in university.
Who's your favorite artist?
Hove, I'd say CheZZa or D'Angelo. I mean, I was, maybe Michael, but like Michael is now. Now we know more about Michael. It's like, I try to separate the artist from the music, but some artists make it very hard for us to.
The
The
HBO
HBO
thing
thing wasn't real.
You didn't hear about it?
You know
So
that?
one of the stories where they said one of the guys said Michael, whatever did to him, they looked back and the place wasn't even built yet.
Yeah. So they said
What place was it?
they said he built. He said they molested the two
Train
kids.
station.
He said they molested him in a certain room.
Yeah,
Right?
but here.
And that room wasn't
Okay.
built at the time that they
But
said
they have photos of Michael Jackson in their homes, my dude. Why is Michael Jackson in your home? Your kid's 13 years old. Why do they have a relationship? My guy was going to award shows with 10-year-olds, bro. That's not normal behavior.
That's not normal.
How do you
That
explain
is
it?
not
Listen,
normal.
That's like
I hope
there's a
like,
lot of
that isn't normal
questionable
behavior,
ish.
but I hope nothing sexual. Really.
It's like
But
he's also like the same way you could understand that Mike Tyson has his different personalities. You can tell that Mike, because he was pretty much forced to grow up, he pretty much didn't have a childhood.
Yeah.
You can tell that he's looking for a childhood. Neverland Ranch was a childhood.
Yeah, it's an amusement park. Yeah, he's
Whatever.
filling a void for
Right,
his
he's
childhood.
definitely filling a void. So maybe he's just looking for friends.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to expect it, but still, like you're an adult at some point.
Yeah, you are.
And you know the difference between right and wrong.
yeah.
And like having relationships with kids who aren't your nephews or your
Hey!
your
Watching
closest
that
friends'
friends or
kids,
nieces, right?
right? Like,
Yep.
I don't know, man. And
He definitely put himself in positions he shouldn't have.
Yeah. 100%.
so Hove, D'Angelo, and then Michael has an asterisk. Because my love of his art is conditional. It's not unconditional.
Okay.
Now this is the last shot of the night. What are we taking it to?
We're taking this
I'm taking it too.
to Cabbie.
Why not?
Illustrious
Yeah,
guest.
Evan.
Yeah, he has to. He's buying a bike.
No, bicycle. Motorcycle, bicycle.
Bicycle.
Oh,
Cheers.
to your pending nuptials.
Oh,
yes.
thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
to my feet, to my beautiful lady. Thank you, fellas.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Did we book the DJ yet?
I should have met you earlier in life.
Well done. Well done. That was well done. Rapid fire questions there, Trace.
Okay, let's go.
Name a player
Yes.
and you can list their stats in one particular year.
Oh, wow. That is excellent.
Averages.
That is so averages. Okay, averages is baseball. That's what average. But scoring average, that's excellent. Oh my gosh. I guess. Oh my goodness. That is outstanding. That is a great question.
Do you have any kids in Little League?
Wow. I know pieces of guys' stats, but I don't like a
Okay.
full line.
Jordan 96. Points per game, rebounds per game,
Oh, I don't know.
assists.
I only know the only one I just know is 1988. He wins Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. Scores 37 points per game. But it's the first time it's an offensive and defensive MVP. I think in the same year, Bill Russell may have done it or Chamberlain may have done it, but that's what I remember from MJ. Wow, that's a great question. now I need to
I think I have a better one.
You really have this.
This one's more opinion based. Backflip. Disrespectful or strike them out?
But you have to strike them out. You know how hard it is to hit a rising fastball? Like, none of us know because we've never been thrown at 100 miles an hour.
Right.
And then let alone blasted into the atmosphere. Like, all that emotion, I love it. I mean, we're from Toronto, so I love the backflip. I was at the game. None of us saw the backflip. We just watched the flight of the ball leave the park, and then we celebrated like we won the championship. It was only the 7th inning, but we were celebrating like that was the end of the game.
Yeah.
Now, but wait, the stats thing through. Now I'm gonna think about this. I'm gonna think about this the whole way home. Like, I'm gonna think about Emmanuel Ramirez year. I'm gonna remember like a Jeter year. I'm gonna remember.
Will Chamberlain.
Well, there's one year where he averaged 55 points a game. I think it was 1962. The year he
61, 62.
right where he scored 100. I think he averaged 50.
50.4.
50.4 per game.
And I think he led the league in assists.
Such a disappointment.
Oh
my
Let me ask you this question.
Like there was a year Tom Brady threw 50 touchdowns, and then Peyton Manning threw 57 touchdowns. I think in 2015 or 16 they went to the Super Bowl and got waxed by Seattle. But
Let me ask you a question. How crazy is Kawhi's stats for this playoffs?
he was basically 30, like 29 and something, like 8 and 8 or something like that. Now I don't even know. Oh my gosh, this is
No,
terrible.
but the fact that in one season with the Raptors, he scored almost half the amount of points in the playoffs that he did with the Spurs.
In one of the playoff runs?
In one play, no. So in 3 years, I think 3 years with his time with the Spurs, it's like almost 1,400 points or so. He scored almost half in one season with the Raptors.
Well, he wasn't the focal point of the offense back then. It was everything ran through Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
And they shared the ball so beautifully. I mean, they came before
It's a different
the
system.
Golden State Warriors.
That's
And they
a quiet line, right? Between Kawhi and
A
Tim
quiet
Duncan.
line.
Quiet line. They're just between the two of them, they probably look at each other and just know.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
And it wasn't like Pop said a lot. I mean, Pop would get on you. He would yell at you, but it wasn't like he was very lengthy in his answers either. He didn't like dealing with the media. That's amazing.
Did you ever get to interview Pop?
No, and I pitched an idea. The idea was I'm getting married and I want to impress my in-laws with my knowledge of wine. I want to find some wine hacks.
That's a good one.
Not talking about basketball at all. He loves wine.
Yeah, he's.
And then just go with multiple bottles of wine and then just like, this one I can take applewood. Like give me some of those little buzzwords.
Yeah.
Oh, the upper palate feels like this. But we never got to do it. I might, if he returns this year, we'll pitch it again and
That would be
see
classic.
if I can go down there and do something. Now I'm shook. Honestly, I'm gonna think about hockey like Wayne Gretzky. I mean, he has 92 goals in 1 year, and then I think Brett Hall had 70. Oh no, Timo Solani had 76 goals as a rookie every 1 year, but I don't remember the assist total. When Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby were rookies, they both had over 100 points. Yeah, I'm messed up now. Hold on, no, wait. I have to think of somebody's line. There's like, Barry Bonds in 2001 batted 370, 73 home runs. I think he only has 124 RBI, but I'm not even sure. Oh, this is so.
What we do is with the last shot we have what we call the last drink. So a lot of times we're interviewing artists. So we'll have violin play an instrumental, and they'll kick a verse while they're drunk, right?
We should ask them to do that.
That's what we're
We should have said Cabbie Presents because right now it's like.
Oh, I'm so disappointed.
But nah, man, you did great.
1 year, Dan Marino had 5,084 yards, but I think it's 1984 or
That's
something.
my brother's
We're
quarterback.
just getting like random facts now, just
Yeah.
popping up.
Oh.
He's looking down the line in his mind,
And
and
it
he's like,
just goes blank.
shit, what's that blur? What's that blur?
I know it. Are you going to check out the Gretzky house?
Yeah, I probably will. I'm sure they have like incredible artifacts, and those are the two legends of hockey.
Yeah.
It would be, I should. Is it open at the Hockey Hall of Fame already?
I think it's open.
Oh, I need to go and then study and then come back.
Hey,
Oh,
we'd love to have you back
so
on the show, man.
I'd love to. I'm gonna come back better prepared. I'll be back.
All right, last question.
Okay.
Last question. Besides Pop, who do you want to interview next?
Oh, that's great. I mean, I would love to interview. See, on my Mount Rushmore right now, athletes and people I haven't interviewed. There's Ronaldo. There's Lionel Messi. There's President Barack Obama, and there's Oprah Winfrey. But then there's like space for Tiger Woods as well. So any one of those 5 would be a career highlight for me. And I would try my best to make them laugh and enjoy the moment and not ask them questions.
I gotta ask another question.
They've been asked.
Did
Yeah.
you meet Obama?
No, I've never.
When he
No.
was here? Did you
No.
meet him? No.
I saw a security detail. I'm like, what's happening?
That's
I
crazy.
see guys with like earphones or like earpieces. I'm like, there's no way the president's here. And then boom,
Came out the blue, like.
Yeah. guest of Adam Silver's.
Raptors game.
He got a
That,
standing
that,
ovation.
that walk in the backstage.
We were at
We're at a
our
barbecue.
Jurassic Garage. My boy's place called Jurassic Garage. We were there, and as soon as he went on screen,
That walk,
we
man.
lost it. Everyone at the garage lost. I can imagine how everybody felt at the arena.
Yeah, it was
With
like
the, with
it
the
felt.
leather jacket.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
like I don't know if he had the one with like the 44 in the sleeve, but he just looked so cool. But it just elevated, like, yo, the president is here.
Yeah.
Like, this is really the NBA Finals.
He could have went to that.
That's why he could have went to the Golden State.
He could have went to Oracle.
Yeah. He didn't. He's like, I'm coming to Toronto. Come watch this.
It was pretty cool.
I don't believe he had like a speaking engagement or
No,
anything in
him-
Toronto.
I think he had something in Montreal. And
Okay.
him and Masai, the rumor is he is going to be the figurehead of a new 12-team league on the continent of Africa as a developmental league, which would feed into the NBA. So,
Right.
you know, the country would be like Congo, Nigeria, probably South Africa, some of the
Yeah.
more wealthier nations, but they
Right.
probably mix it in. But yeah, 12 teams.
That's crazy.
And Masai has been
But the other
building
Messiah is,
infrastructure.
yeah.
he's been bringing piece by piece a different
Yeah.
African. Like
Yeah.
every year,
He
there's
does
like this
giants in
breakout
Africa,
African
like-
that jumps out. This is a breakout African. You're like,
It's
who is this guy?
Right.
I was actually surprised Taco never got drafted.
Oh, Taco?
Yeah, I'm surprised he never got drafted.
You know, but listen, that could be the best thing for him.
Yeah.
Because on our team, guys never got drafted. Fred VanVleet
Yeah.
carries that chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Love guys like that who
Yeah.
are like, okay, this is my adversity, and I'm gonna put in the work to overcome it and be some. I mean,
And he's gonna tell you after too. Like,
Yeah,
like,
that's
like,
right.
like when they were talking after, when they were doing
Yeah.
speeches, and he's saying, "Hey, you guys killed us when we got eliminated.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he shows that." Like,
But those are the guys that haven't been given everything, so they want to earn it. Versus the entire how many first round picks or number one overall picks. I mean, we had one that came from here, unfortunately, Anthony Bennett.
Yeah.
Who just never and God, that was 13. God, that
Yeah.
was 6 years ago. My guy's no longer in the league.
He's a D leaguer now.
I think.
I think.
And you know, and he's a real super nice dude, but you know, some guys flame out. But you know, Van Vliet showed the resolve, and many of these young African players, the steps that they're gonna have to overcome to even get a look in the United States to go to college or the G League or whatever, it's gonna be so many so arduous to overcome that they'll be ready. They'll have like the mental fortitude to weather some of these
Do you
wild
think,
emotional.
Ball lives up to his daddy's name or surpasses?
Yo, he's got a pretty nice J. I don't think Manute had a nice J. So
I forgot Manute could shoot that three. He was like
Here
one of
and
the
there.
first big men that could shoot that three.
what was he shooting
He wasn't-
consistently?
No.
Did he have like
But
every
no,
once in a while?
But think about when Manute was in the league. The guy is 7 feet. Is not
He
going
was
to be back.
7'6", I think.
But no, but I'm saying just big men.
7'7", yeah.
Big men in general weren't outside the arc.
Correct.
They're not taking shots.
Correct.
You're probably going to get tore up by your coach.
Yeah, for not being in the thing.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he's measurably better than his dad, and then he can stick with the team and you know show his range and. You know, I hope Thon Maker can stick with Detroit and get in the starting rotation and show his skills as well.
Were you Yakamura?
Oh, the Japanese kid. I don't really know that much about him, but I'm excited. I love seeing international players come into the game because it just opens up the borders. You know, there are going to be kids in India, there are kids in China, there are kids in Brazil, Chile, there are kids in right, there are kids in Congo. That on like little cell phones watching highlights of our Raptors winning, and they're going to become fans now. They're going to like look at Pascal, Kawhi, Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka, Marcus Gasol, and be like, I want to be like those guys. So that's amazing. We'll know in the next 10, 12 years how much this team has reverberated in the culture because we'll see the next wave of Canadians or international players. That were my team growing up was the Raptors.
Well, Vince did a lot
Big time.
for
Big
the
time.
culture of basketball in the country. I can't imagine what this moment right now is going to do.
We'll see.
We'll know Wednesday if Kawhi's staying.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
Wednesday?
it's July 30th. Or no, June 30th.
June 30th?
June 30th is the. It's got. Well, that's when he become a free agent. He doesn't have to decide right away, but you know, we'll have.
When do you think he'll let us know? Early or late?
I think he'll let us know early. I think he's just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna.
There's that rumor that he signed up his
daughter to
school
yeah.
close to the
Registered,
border.
yeah. I mean,
But he was grabbing moving boxes, and I'm mad I didn't get to see it because I was driving that route. If I saw it, I would have jumped on the bus. I'll be
You
back.
needed help? You needed help?
No. I'll be back. I had my Raptors hat on. I'll be back, sir. I need you to sign this, please. That's it.
Well,
Thanks. Have a great day.
let's get this.
Last.
So this is that. Yeah, go ahead.
Last
3,
three.
2, 1.
Hey! We had counted out because Pinky here didn't want to.
Pinky flame down.
She didn't want
Did
to
we
finish.
exceed an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to keep blabbing.
No.
Perfect.
No,
Now,
it's-
let everybody know if they don't know who you are. For shame. For shame.
Shame.
Shame. I'm one of the few people that actually enjoy Game of Thrones finale.
I like the title.
I would say, yeah.
My name's Cabbie Richards. I work at TSN, and I do a little silly segment called Cabbie Presents. On the gram, I'm the real Cabbie, and on Twitter, I'm just Cabbie, and I'm very happy and honored that these gentlemen welcome me into their shot club, and I'm happy to have multiple shots with these fine gentlemen.
And this shot is still a good show.
Hold on.
Hold on.
What's the spin? Oh.
You got a shot.
That's the final.
Cheers to the final one.
Cheers.
Shots up.
And cheers to you guys for watching. Thank you.
Here we go.
That was wonderful. Thank you, cheers.
Sick.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I'm sorry I talked
Oh,
so
wait.
much.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. ShotClubPodcast.com. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. Hit us on IG at Shot Club, on
Podcast.
Twitter at Shot Club, on
Podcast.
Facebook.
I like to finish. We'll keep going. You're not saying Shot Club Podcast.
Casual Fan Wednesdays. Yeah, we out.
All that. You know us.
Thanks again, man. Appreciate that.
No problem, man. No problem. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, fellas.
So